Imagine a place darker than space. A region where pressure could flatten a tank, where temperatures hover just above freezing. This location sits nearly 11 kilometers beneath the ocean's surface, yet one nation is racing to dominate it. Not for glory, not for science alone. While Western powers scale back their marine programs, China is deploying advanced robotics, establishing permanent underwater facilities, and silently staking claims to what exists in these depths. The United States? They're slashing ocean research funding at alarming rates. So what treasures lie hidden in Earth's deepest places? And why is Beijing so desperate to reach them first? We investigated Chinese scientific publications, tracked maritime vessels, and consulted ocean specialists. What we uncovered reveals a competition most people don't even know is happening. Let me show you where this is unfolding. The Mariana Trench, a colossal underwater chasm in the western Pacific Ocean, positioned east of the Philippine archipelago. This represents Earth's absolute deepest point, one of the most hostile environments our planet has to offer. Reaching the bottom means traveling through the ocean's complete vertical column. Let's descend together. Our journey begins at sea level. The euphotic zone, what scientists call the epipelagic layer. Warm waters, abundant sunlight. This is where coral ecosystems flourish, where fish schools migrate, where you'd recognize the ocean from documentaries. We swim here, we dive here, we surf these waves. But this comfortable zone extends only about 200 meters down. Push further, and everything transforms. Welcome to the mesopelagic layer, commonly known as the twilight zone. Here, between 200 and 1,000 meters beneath the surface, sunlight gradually vanishes into near-total darkness. Descend deeper, and you'll experience pressure climbing to 10 times surface levels. Enough force to obliterate most shallow water organisms. Strange life forms inhabit this zone. The oarfish, a silver, serpent-shaped giant that can exceed the length of a commercial bus. Or consider the sea angel, a translucent winged mollusk that seems to fly through the darkness. As illumination fades and pressure intensifies, creatures evolve remarkable adaptations. They lose pigmentation, develop enormous eyes, or create soft, compressible bodies that can withstand the crushing environment. Descend further, things get stranger. At 1,000 meters, you've entered the bathypelagic zone, complete darkness. The sole illumination comes from the creatures themselves, a phenomenon called bioluminescence. Life here resembles science fiction, glowing appendages, transparent flesh, mouths that seem impossibly large. Take the Magnapinna squid as an example. Its spindly arms can extend beyond 6 meters, hanging like puppet strings suspended in the void. Absolute nightmare material. Pressure at this depth reaches 100 times what you experience at the surface, approximately 1,500 pounds per square inch across your entire body. Imagine a full-grown elephant balanced on your fingernail. That same crushing force surrounding you from every direction. One famous resident? The blobfish. In its natural habitat near the midnight zone's upper boundary, it appears like any adapted deep-sea fish, perfectly suited to extreme pressure. But haul it to the surface? All that pressure vanishes. The blobfish expands into that gelatinous blob you've probably seen in internet memes. It's a perfect demonstration of just how intense these pressures are, and how remarkably life has evolved to survive them. Continue sinking. At 4,000 meters, you reach the abyssopelagic zone. The abyss. Freezing, silent, dark. Life becomes scarce, but it still exists. And the barren seafloor? It holds secrets. At first glance, it looks like ordinary mud, unremarkable sediment. That's deceptive. Consider what happens to everything that dies in the ocean. Every fish, every shark, even microscopic plankton. Eventually, everything descends. Some falls as biological waste, some as tiny particles processed through other organisms. Over time, it accumulates. Across millions of years, this organic material drifts downward and settles onto the ocean floor. Scientists call it marine snow, a gentle, constant precipitation. Layer upon layer builds soft, carbon-rich mud. In certain locations, that mud exceeds a kilometer in thickness, over 3,000 feet, composed entirely from the remains of life that once existed above. These layers don't just preserve ocean history, they trap carbon dioxide, making the deep ocean one of Earth's most critical natural carbon repositories. Despite all that marine snow accumulating, life down here remains extremely limited. Most organisms subsist on scraps, adapted to an environment where nutrition is incredibly scarce. But occasionally, something extraordinary occurs. Something massive sinks, and when it does, everything changes. This is what researchers call a whale fall. When a deceased whale reaches the seafloor, it becomes a magnet for deep-sea life. Watch what happens. Scavengers arrive within hours. Sharks first, then hagfish, followed by worms, snails, and bacterial colonies. Over time, an entire ecosystem develops around these remains, sustained by a single fallen body. See those hair-like structures attached to the bones? Those are specialized worms. One whale carcass can support life here for years. A sudden burst of energy in a place where such opportunities are extraordinarily rare. And when it arrives, life doesn't hesitate. Yet surviving here remains incredibly challenging. Temperatures barely exceed freezing. Pressure exceeds 400 times surface levels. That's like balancing 7 full-grown elephants on your fingertip and experiencing that weight pressing inward from all directions simultaneously. You're still descending. You've now passed 6,000 meters below the surface. This is the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the Greek deity of the underworld. Trench territory. From here downward, only ocean trenches go deeper. Very few submersibles can reach these depths. The pressure in the Hadal Zone exceeds 600 times surface pressure. To survive it, a submarine requires nearly flawless pressure-resistant engineering, something only a handful of submersibles on Earth have ever accomplished. And finally, at nearly 11,000 meters, we've reached the bottom of the Mariana Trench. That's deeper than Mount Everest is tall. The pressure is so extreme, it would feel like 90 full-grown elephants pressing into every fingertip-sized area of your body from all sides. But here's what's remarkable. Life still exists, some in bizarre forms, like xenophyophores, giant single-celled organisms that filter nutrients from the seafloor. They thrive under pressure that would destroy most life. Tiny, pale shrimp creep silently through the mud. Life here is rare, but it's perfectly adapted to the extreme. So what else exists in these trenches? We know life survives, but there's vastly more we haven't discovered. Let's remain at the Mariana Trench's bottom for a moment. This underwater canyon extends more than 2,500 kilometers across the Pacific, roughly the distance from New York to Denver. But not every section reaches the same depth. Near the western terminus, there's a point that plunges even deeper, a pit within the trench itself. If the Mariana Trench represents the ocean's deepest part, what's the deepest part of the trench itself? That's Challenger Deep, the most extreme depth on Earth's seafloor. It doesn't get any deeper than this. The first humans reached it in 1960. Swiss engineer Jacques Piccard and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh made the descent in a steel sphere attached to a massive flotation tank. That initial dive lasted just 20 minutes at the bottom. Then for over 50 years, nobody followed. Until filmmaker James Cameron descended solo in 2012. He captured footage, collected samples, and safely returned. Several years later, explorer and entrepreneur Victor Vescovo constructed a high-tech submersible called the Limiting Factor. He completed multiple dives, gathering comprehensive data from the bottom. But here's what changed everything. In May 2020, Vescovo made an unexpected discovery during one of his Challenger Deep expeditions. A plastic bag, candy wrappers, human waste at Earth's deepest point. It proved something disturbing. No place on Earth remains untouched by human activity. But it also confirmed something else. If our trash can reach the deepest ocean, so can we. And if we can reach it, we can explore it. And if we can explore it, we can extract from it. So what actually exists down here that nations are fighting to control? Let me show you something. This white, ice-like substance is methane hydrate. It looks like frozen water, but it's actually methane gas trapped in a crystalline structure. It forms under high pressure and low temperatures, conditions that exist throughout the deep ocean floor. And yes, if you light it, it burns. Scientists are studying methane hydrate as a potential energy source, but extraction carries massive risks. Disturb the seafloor too aggressively, and you could trigger underwater landslides, or release enormous quantities of methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than CO2, directly into the ocean and atmosphere. The fact that we're even observing this at these depths demonstrates how far deep-sea exploration has advanced. Which raises the critical question: what other resources might be buried down here? Look at these round, lumpy rocks scattered across the seabed. You're looking at polymetallic nodules, small, potato-sized rocks resting on the ocean floor. Inside them, valuable metals including cobalt, nickel, copper, and manganese. These metals are essential for manufacturing batteries, electric vehicles, and renewable energy infrastructure. And here's how they're harvested. A surface vessel lowers a robotic mining machine to the seafloor. That machine crawls along the bottom, collecting the top sediment layer along with the nodules. Everything it gathers gets pumped back up through a pipe to the ship above. But there's a serious problem. As these collector machines crawl across the seabed, they generate massive sediment clouds called plumes. These clouds can suffocate fragile ecosystems and travel for miles. After nodules are processed, a second waste plume gets discharged back into the ocean, adding to the destruction. If this industry scales up before we understand the long-term consequences, the damage could be permanent. Some scientists warn the seafloor could require centuries to recover, if it recovers at all. And with no clear agreement on waste management or disposal locations, one thing is obvious: we're rushing into the deep without fully understanding the costs. Many marine biologists express deep concern about deep-sea mining as a whole. These ecosystems recover slowly and are incredibly fragile. Disrupting them could eliminate species we haven't even discovered yet and destroy habitats that required millions of years to form. All of this, the nodules, the methane deposits, and the technology to access them, makes one thing absolutely clear. The extreme deep sea is no longer unreachable. It's resource-rich, and it's becoming more accessible every day. But if the deep sea becomes the next resource frontier, who decides how it's utilized or protected? Currently, regulations are minimal, and ambition is outpacing oversight. China recognizes this opportunity. They're not just observing or conducting experiments, they're preparing to extract, to claim, to secure what exists down here before any other nation can. They're investing in long-term presence. Right now, they're planning a permanent underwater base positioned 2,000 meters below the surface, designed to house 6 scientists who can live and work for up to 30 days continuously. Think of it as a space station, but on the ocean floor. And it provides China something even more valuable than minerals: time. Time to test new equipment, time to monitor the environment, time to gain the kind of operational experience that few other nations are even attempting. Down here, access is just the beginning. What truly matters is what you do with that access. China is building the tools, the expertise, the experience needed to operate in the deep sea, not just once, but continuously. That's how they're pulling ahead, by transforming exploration into routine operations, and routine operations into dominance. The deeper you descend, the less room exists for guesswork. And the nations investing now, in hardware, in research, in human capital, are positioning themselves to control what lies beneath. And there's one more thing hidden on the seabed, out of sight, yet absolutely crucial to how our modern world functions. It's not rocks or resources. I'm not referring to the creatures. This is a cross-section of a deep-sea data cable. It might appear to be simple plastic and metal, but inside are hair-thin glass fibers that carry the majority of the world's internet traffic. Messages, emails, financial transactions, even this video you're watching. They all travel through these fragile lines stretched across the ocean floor. These cables are substantial, but they're surprisingly vulnerable. A single ship dragging its anchor can sever a cable. In recent years, Russian vessels have been observed operating suspiciously near undersea cable routes in the North Sea, raising concerns about potential sabotage and interference. So imagine what could happen if someone wanted to cut these cables intentionally. In early 2025, China unveiled another deep-sea robot, a literal cable cutter. Officially, it's designed to repair damaged infrastructure. But a device like this could also be weaponized to quietly disable cables thousands of meters below the surface. Out of sight, out of reach, without anyone noticing until it's too late. There's no evidence it's ever been used that way. But the mere possibility is enough to transform how nations think about the deep sea. Beneath the ocean floor runs the nervous system of the modern world. Cables, sensors, critical infrastructure stretched across the seabed, carrying our internet, global trade, and military communications. They're not science experiments. They're the modern world's lifelines, and they are vulnerable. Control is already shifting underwater. The only question now is, who's moving fast enough to shape what happens next? Every deep-sea robot begins with a human idea, someone imagining, designing, and constructing something that can survive where humans cannot. And right now, the nation supporting those people the most is China. They're pouring massive resources into ocean science, building new research facilities, funding comprehensive programs, training the next generation of ocean engineers, biologists, and robotics specialists. And they're not just investing in domestic talent, they're recruiting top minds from around the globe. Meanwhile, countries like the United States are retreating. Science budgets are getting slashed. The current administration has drastically reduced funding for NOAA, the very agency responsible for exploring, protecting, and understanding U.S. ocean territory. While China floods its laboratories with funding, talent, and momentum, the U.S. is undermining the only agency built to compete. Top scientists are leaving, not because they've lost interest, but because the funding has disappeared. When funding dries up, research stops. But when a country puts real support behind its scientists, discoveries happen, and those discoveries shape the future. Conclusion. So what did China actually discover? Not just life at the ocean's bottom, but a pathway in, and a reason to remain. They're transforming deep-sea exploration from rare missions into scalable strategy. With compact autonomous robots and underwater research stations, they're constructing the infrastructure to operate where few others can. They've identified resources that could power the next century. But more importantly, they're developing the tools and experience to control access to them. They're not just exploring, they're positioning themselves to dictate what happens next. While the US cuts research budgets and withdraws from ocean science leadership, China is surging ahead, faster, deeper, with a long-term vision. Beneath the waves, a new frontier is taking shape, one that could define the coming century. And what we choose to explore, and how we choose to do it, will shape more than just our oceans. It will shape power, security, and global influence. The deep sea is one of Earth's last wild and untouched places. Once it's disturbed, there's no reversing it. Rushing in without proper oversight could eliminate entire ecosystems and trigger consequences we don't yet understand. We've been here before. When the race was to the moon, competition eventually gave way to collaboration. The International Space Station proved that nations can work together to push boundaries and protect what matters. We need that mindset again, not just to explore the deep, but to protect it. Because if only one nation controls the last unexplored part of our planet, the cost won't just be scientific. It could be something we all feel. What do you think about China's deep-sea ambitions? Are we moving too fast? Or not fast enough? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more content about global competition and hidden frontiers, subscribe to The Global Build. Until next time.